I woke to the sound of gods arguing. Not literally, though at this point I wouldn't be surprised. My head throbbed like I'd been hit with a sledgehammer, and my mouth tasted like I'd licked the floor of a Seoul subway car during rush hour. Classy. The voices were low, sharp, and way too close. He's mine. I carried him here. You dragged him. There's a difference. Both of you are idiots. I found him first. I kept my eyes shut, partly because the light filtering through my eyelids felt like tiny knives, and partly because I had no idea where the hell I was or why three strangers were talking about me like I was a lost puppy. Think, Jaiho. Think. Last thing I remembered, sneaking into the Grand Autumn Ball at the Shilla Hotel because my friend Minho swore there'd be free food and hot rich guys. I'd worked a double shift at the cafe, my feet were killing me, and I just wanted to grab a pastry and disappear before anyone noticed the kitchen. Staff had crashed the party. I must have hidden behind one of those massive gold curtains near the balcony. Sat down for just a second, closed my eyes for just a, oh no. I fell asleep at a royal pack ball. Fantastic. Enough. The third voice cut through the bickering like a blade. Cold, absolute. The kind of voice that made you want to stand at attention even in your sleep. We take this to the council. Let them decide. The council will execution him for trespassing, the first voice snapped. You know the laws, Hanel. Execution. My eyes flew open. Three faces stared down at me. And oh, hell, they weren't just handsome. They were the kind of handsome that belonged on billboards, historical dramas, and probably currency. Sharp jawlines, perfect bone structure, eyes that could have been carved by someone who thought humans deserved better than they got. The one on the left had dark hair falling into intense eyes, his expression hard enough to cut glass. The middle one looked like he'd stepped out of a runway, sleek, controlled, with a dangerous smile playing at his lips. The one on the right was broader, quieter, but his gaze pinned me like I was something fragile he wasn't sure he should touch. All three wore the silver and crimson crests of the royal pack. Oh shit. You're awake, the middle one said. His voice was smooth, almost amused. Good. We were starting to wonder if you were dead. Not dead, I croaked. Just socially dead. There's a difference. The one on the left, Hanul apparently, did not look amused. Do you have any idea what you've done? I tried to sit up. Bad idea. The room spun, and my stomach lurched. A hand caught my shoulder, firm, warm, steadying. Easy. The quiet one. His voice was softer, but it still carried weight. You've been out for nearly an hour. An hour? I'm sorry, I stammered, trying to pull myself together. I didn't mean to crash your fancy party. I was just tired, and you thought you'd take a nap in the presence of three alpha kings and somehow go unnoticed? Hanul's tone could have frozen fire. I blinked. Three, what now? The middle one laughed, short, sharp, like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. Oh, this is perfect. He doesn't even know. Know what? I looked between them, panic rising. Look, I'm just a barista. I make overpriced lattes and clean up after trust fund kids. I don't know what's happening, but I swear I'm not. You're an Omega, the quiet one said. I froze. Yeah, I know that. Thanks for the memo. An Omega, he continued, who smells like a battlefield we fought 10 years ago. The room went silent. I stared at him. What? Hanel stepped closer, and the air around him seemed to sharpen. Where were you born? Busan. Why does that? When? 22 years ago. What is this? An interrogation. What's your full name? Park Jiho, I snapped, shoving myself to my feet. My legs wobbled, but I locked my knees. And I don't know what kind of weird scent memory thing you've got going on, but I've never been in a war. I've never met any of you, and I definitely didn't sign up for whatever this is. The middle one tilted his head, studying me like I was a puzzle he wanted to take apart. Interesting. That's not the word I'd use, I shot back. Jiho. The quiet one's voice was careful, like he was talking to something easily spooked. Do you remember anything unusual? Dreams? Flashes of places you've never been? I opened my mouth to say no, but I stopped, because I did. Smoke. Steel. The sound of something breaking. A voice calling a name I didn't recognize. And the smell of rain on burning grass. I swallowed hard. No. Hanal's eyes narrowed. He didn't believe. Me. The middle one smiled. He's lying. I'm not. You are. The quiet one stepped closer. And we're going to find out why. Before I could respond, the door burst open. A man in formal robes strode in, flanked by guards. His expression was cold, imperial. What is the meaning of this? The three alphas turned as one. Council leader, Hanul said evenly. We found him. The man's gaze landed on me, and his face went white. Impossible, he whispered. I didn't like the way he was looking at me, like I was a ghost or a weapon, or both. Impossible, the council leader repeated louder this time. His voice shook. That boy died in the Guanghuaman siege. I blinked. I'm sorry, what? Council leader Shin, Hanul said, his tone clipped. We need answers, not theatrics. Shin didn't take his eyes off me. Where did you find him? Asleep behind a curtain on the east balcony. The middle, Alpha said. He sounded bored, but his gaze was anything but. Curled up like a cat. Very dramatic entrance. I wasn't entering, I was hiding, I snapped. Big difference. Shin took a step closer. I resisted the urge to step back, barely. Do you know who you look like? He asked. A very tired college student, I offered. Because that's what I am. You look like Min Suman. The name hit the room like a grenade. All three alphas went still. I glanced between them. Who? An Omega who died 10 years ago, Shin said slowly, in a battle that nearly destroyed the northern packs. He paused like the words hurt. He was bonded to all three of them. My brain screeched to a halt. I'm sorry, bonded? As in past tense? As in all three at the same time? The quiet alpha's jaw tightened. It wasn't official. It was real, the middle one corrected. His smile was gone now. Hanul said nothing. But the look on his face could have shattered stone. I held up both hands. Okay, cool. Fun story. But I'm not him. I don't know him. I don't even know you. So maybe we can all just take a breath and admit this is a huge misunderstanding? Your scent, Shin said. It's identical. That's impossible, I shot back. Scents don't just replicate. That's not how biology works. It is, the quiet alpha said, if a soul reincarnates. I laughed. I couldn't help it. You're joking. No one laughed with me. Oh my God, you're not joking. Shin gestured to the guards. Restrain him. Wait, what? Two guards moved forward. I stumbled back, and my shoulder hit someone solid. The quiet alpha. He didn't move, but his presence was a wall. No one touches him, he said. Shin's expression darkened. Prince Dowan, this is a matter of pack security. And he's under our protection, the middle alpha added. His voice was light, but the threat underneath was crystal clear. Isn't he, Hanul? Hanul didn't answer right away. He was still staring at me, and I hated how exposed that made me feel. Finally, he spoke. He stays with us, until we know what he is. And if he's a threat, Shin demanded, then we'll handle it. The two men stared each other down. The air in the room felt like it was vibrating. I cleared my throat. Hi, still here, still very confused. Can someone please explain what's happening before I pass out again? Doan's hand brushed my elbow, steadying. You're safe. I don't feel safe. You will, the middle alpha said. Once you stop lying. I spun toward him. I'm not lying. Then why, he said, stepping closer. Can I feel your heartbeat from here? Why does your scent spike every time we mention Suman? Why do you look like you're about to bolt? Because three royal alphas are accusing me of being a dead guy. My voice cracked. That's a pretty valid reason to panic. He smiled. It wasn't kind. I'm Jaewon, by the way, since we're going to be spending a lot of time together. We're not. You'll stay in the East Wing, Hanul interrupted. Separate quarters. Guarded. I have a job, I protested, and an apartment, And a cat. Your cat will be fine, Doan said. How do you know? Because I'll have someone check on him. I stared at him. You're serious? Very. Shin stepped forward again. This is a mistake. If he truly is connected to Suman's death, then we'll deal with it, Hanul said. His voice dropped into something dangerous. But until we know for certain, he's ours. The possessiveness in that word made my skin prickle. I'm not a thing you can claim, I said. Jaewon's grin returned. No, you're much more interesting than that. Before I could respond, the door opened again. A woman entered, older, draped in white robes that shimmered like silk and frost. Her eyes were pale, almost colorless, and when she looked at me, I felt like she was reading a language written under my skin. Oracle, Hanul said. He inclined his head slightly. The others did the same. She didn't acknowledge them. Her gaze stayed locked on me. Boy, she said. Her voice was soft, but it filled the room. Do you dream? I swallowed. Sometimes. Of fire? My breath caught. Her expression didn't change. Of smoke and steel and a voice calling a name you do not remember? I couldn't move. How do you know that? I whispered. She tilted her head. Because the goddess does not let go of what she has claimed. I don't understand. You will. She turned to Hanul. 3 nights. I will perform the rite under the full moon. If he is truly Sumin reborn, the bond will awaken. And if he's not? Shin asked. The oracle smiled. It was the saddest thing I'd ever seen. Then he will die. The room went silent. I looked at Hanul, at Dawn, at Jaewon. None of them argued. None of them told her she was wrong. And that's when I realized I wasn't a guest. I was a test. Absolutely not. The words burst out before I could stop them. I'm not doing some weird ritual that might kill me. The oracle's pale eyes didn't even flicker. The choice is not yours. Pretty sure it is, actually. My body, my rules. Jaewon laughed, low and sharp. I like him. That's not helping, Doan muttered. Hanul stepped between me and the oracle. 3 days. We'll prepare him. Prepare me for what? I demanded. Death? Because I'm pretty sure there's no prep course for that. For the truth, Hanul said. He turned to face me, and the weight of his stare made my stomach twist. If you're Suman, the bond will recognize you. If you're not, he paused. The goddess will know. And then I die. Super comforting. You won't die, Doan said quietly. You don't know that. I do. Something in his voice made me stop. It wasn't just confidence. It was certainty. Like he'd already decided my survival was non-negotiable. Council Leader Shin, the oracle said, finally addressing someone else. Clear the hall. The kings will escort him to his quarters. Shin's mouth thinned into a line, but he nodded. The guards filed out, followed by the council members who'd been lurking near the door like vultures. Within seconds, the room emptied, except for me and them. Come, Hanul said. I'd really rather not. Jaewon grinned. You'd rather stay here? With the oracle? She's delightful company, very warm. The oracle's expression didn't change, but I swore I saw the corner of her mouth twitch. Fine, I muttered. Lead the way. They did. Hanul walked ahead, his stride measured and controlled. Dowan stayed at my side, close enough that I could feel the heat radiating off him. Jaewon trailed behind, and I had the uncomfortable feeling he was watching me like I was entertainment. The hallways were endless. Polished marble floors, gold-trimmed walls, paintings of stern-looking ancestors who probably never smiled a day in their lives. The kind of wealth that made you feel poor just by existing near it. So, I said, because silence was worse, you 3 are all kings? Princes, Jaewon corrected. Technically, but we rule our territories independently. How very democratic. It's efficient, Hanul said without turning around. It's a nightmare, Dawan added. I glanced at him. Why? Because we were raised to compete, not cooperate. And yet here you are, sharing. Jaewon's laugh echoed down the hall. Sharing. That's one word for it. What's another? Complicated. We turned a corner, and the hallway opened into a wider corridor lined with windows. The moonlight spilled across the floor in silver rectangles. Outside, I could see the sprawl of Seoul glittering below us. We were high, really high. Where are we? I asked. Namsan Tower District, Doan said. The royal estate overlooks the city. Of course it does. We stopped in front of a set of double doors. Hanul pushed them open, revealing a room that was bigger than my entire apartment. King-size bed, floor-to-ceiling windows, a sitting area with furniture that probably cost more than my tuition. This is yours, Hanul said. I stepped inside slowly. This is a guest room? This is the East Wing's primary suite, Doan corrected. It's symbolic. Of what? Jaewon leaned against the doorframe. Of the fact that we don't know what to do with you, yet. Comforting. Hanul's gaze swept the room once before landing back on me. You'll stay here until the right. Food will be brought. If you need anything, the guards outside will assist. Guards, right. So I'm a prisoner. You're protected, Doan said. Same thing. It's not. I turned to face him fully. If I try to leave, what happens? He hesitated. Jaewon answered instead. We stop you. Thought so. Hanul moved toward the door. Get some rest. Tomorrow we'll begin. Begin what? Teaching you what you've forgotten. Before I could ask what the hell that meant, all three of them stepped into the hall. The door closed with a soft, final click. I stood there for a long moment, staring at the wood. Then I walked to the window. Seoul stretched out below me, endless and alive. Somewhere down there was my apartment, my cat, my normal, boring, non-magical life where I wasn't accused of being a reincarnated dead guy. I pressed my hand against the glass. It was cold, and then I felt it. A flicker, just a flash, like static across my brain. Not a thought, not a memory, something else. A voice. You know me. I jerked back from the window, heart pounding. The room was empty, but the voice lingered, soft and insistent, like an echo that refused to fade. You know me. You've always known me. No, I whispered. I don't. Silence answered. I backed toward the bed and sat down hard. My hands were shaking. This was insane. All of it. Reincarnation, bonds, oracles. Three ridiculously attractive alphas who looked at me like I was a puzzle and a threat and something precious all at once. I didn't ask for this. I didn't want this. But as I lay back against the pillows, exhaustion pulling me under, one thought followed me into the dark. What if they're right? If you're hooked and want to see what happens when Jiho's memories start bleeding through, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, the next twist is going to wreck you. Let's get to the truth together. Sleep didn't come easy. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw flashes. Fire, smoke curling through trees, the metallic tang of blood in the air. And always, always that voice whispering just out of reach. You promised. I jerked awake, gasping. My shirt clung to my skin, damp with sweat. The room was still dark, but the moonlight had shifted, painting everything in cold silver. A knock at the door. I froze. Jiho! Doan's voice muffled through the wood. Are you awake? I should have pretended I wasn't, should have rolled over and ignored him, but my mouth opened before my brain caught up. Yeah. The door opened slowly. Dowan stepped inside, barefoot, wearing sleep clothes that somehow still looked expensive. His hair was slightly mussed, and for the first time he looked almost human. You were screaming, he said quietly. I wasn't. You were. He closed the door behind him. The guards heard you. Great. Fantastic. Add public nightmares to my growing list of humiliations. I'm fine, I lied. He didn't move closer, but his gaze pinned me in place. You're not. You don't know me. No, he agreed. But I knew Suman. The name hit like a fist. I sat up, pulling the blanket around me like it could shield me from whatever this conversation was about to become. I'm not him. Maybe not. Doan's voice was careful, measured. But you dream like he did. I laughed bitterly. What, all dead Omegas have the same nightmares? Is that a thing? Suman used to wake up screaming about fire, about smoke, about promises he couldn't remember making. Dowan's jaw tightened. Just like you. I wanted to argue, wanted to tell him he was wrong, that it was just stress, that my brain was malfunctioning because I'd been kidnapped by royalty and threatened with magical death. But I couldn't, because he wasn't wrong. What happened to him? I asked quietly. Suman. How did he die? Doan hesitated. Then he moved to the window, staring out at the city like it held answers. He died protecting us. From what? From our mistakes. The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush. We were young, Doan continued. Arrogant. We thought we were untouchable. And Suman, he believed in us more than we deserved. So what went wrong? Everything. His reflection in the glass looked haunted. There was a raid, northern packs trying to destabilize the region. We were ambushed, outnumbered, and Suman, he stopped, breathed. He shouldn't have been there, but he came anyway, used himself as bait to draw them away from us. My chest tightened. And you let him? We didn't let him. We didn't even know until it was too late. Doan's hands curled into fists. By the time we reached him, he was already gone. I didn't know what to say. What could I say? I'm sorry, I offered. It felt pathetically small. Don't be. It wasn't your fault. Wasn't it? He turned to look at me then, really look at me, and something in his expression cracked. If you are him, if some part of Suman survived, he trailed off, shook his head. I don't know if that's a gift or a curse. Feels like a curse so far. A faint, broken smile touched his lips. Yeah, it does. We stood there in the quiet, the weight of 10 years pressing down between us. Then I felt it again, that flicker, that static hum at the base of my skull. But this time, it wasn't a voice. It was a pull, like invisible hands reaching through my ribs, tugging me towards something I couldn't see. My breath hitched, and I swayed on my feet. Dowan moved instantly. His hand caught my arm, steadying me. Jiho? The second, his skin touched mine. Everything exploded. Light, blinding, white-hot, searing through my skull like lightning. I gasped, tried to pull away, but I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. And then I saw it. A memory, not mine. Dawan younger, covered in blood, kneeling in the mud, holding someone, holding me. No, not me. Soman. Stay with me, Dawan begged, voice breaking. Please, don't go. Suman's hand lifted, trembling, touching Dawan's cheek. You have to let me. I can't. You will. A faint, sad smile. Because you're strong, stronger than you think. And then nothing. Just silence, and the weight of a body going still. The vision shattered. I stumbled back, gasping, and Dawan caught me before I hit the floor. My hands fisted in his shirt, and I could feel his heart pounding against my palm. What the hell was that? I choked out. His face had gone pale. You saw it. I saw you. I couldn't finish. My throat closed up. That's not possible. But even as he said it, he didn't let go of me. Memory transference doesn't work that way. Not without a bond. Then what was it? He stared at me, and for the first time I saw fear flicker across his face. I don't know. Footsteps in the hallway. Fast. Urgent. The door slammed open. Hanal stood in the doorway, eyes sharp and lethal. Jaywin was right behind him, shirtless, looking far too awake for whatever ungodly hour this was. We felt it, Hanal said. His gaze locked onto where Doan's hand still gripped my shoulders. What did you do? Nothing, Doan said quickly. I touched him, and he saw my memory, I finished. My voice shook. I saw Doan's memory of Suman dying. Jaywin swore under his breath. Hanul's expression darkened. That shouldn't be possible. And yet, I pulled away from Doan, wrapping my arms around myself. Here we are. The three of them exchanged looks. The kind of silent conversation that made me feel like an outsider in my own body. What does this mean? I demanded. Hanul's jaw tightened. It means the bond is already awake. But the rite isn't for 3 days. It doesn't matter. Jaywin stepped into the room and the air grew heavier. If he's pulling memories without a completed bond, that means his power is unstable. What power? I snapped. No one answered. And that's when I realized they'd been expecting this. All of it. You knew, I whispered. You knew something was wrong with me. Hanul's silence was answer enough. I laughed. It came out bitter and sharp. So what am I? Some kind of magical accident? No, Doan said quietly. You're something much worse. And what's that? He met my eyes. A weapon. The word hung in the air like smoke. I stared at Doan, at all three of them, waiting for someone to laugh, to tell me it was a joke, a test, anything. No one did. Explain, I said. My voice came out steadier than I felt. Right now. Jaewon leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Suman wasn't just an Omega. He had a gift, rare, dangerous. What kind of gift? Memory extraction, Hanul said. His tone was clinical, detached, like he was discussing the weather. He could pull memories from anyone he touched, see their past, feel their emotions, live their experiences as if they were his own. My stomach dropped. That's not possible. You just did it, Doan said quietly. I opened my mouth, closed it, opened it again. I didn't do anything. You touched me, and I saw, the image flashed again. Dowan kneeling in the mud, blood everywhere. Suman's hand falling limp. I pressed my palms against my eyes. Make it stop. It won't, Jaewon said, not cruelly, just honest. Not until you learn to control it. I don't want to control it. I don't want any of this. Too bad. Hanul's voice cut through my panic like a blade. Because if you can pull memories, that makes you valuable. And valuable things don't get to choose their fate. I dropped my hands and glared at him. You're really selling the whole prince thing. Very inspiring. His eyes narrowed, but Doan stepped between us before either of us could say something we'd regret. Jiho, Doan said carefully, if you're manifesting Suman's power, it means the connection is deeper than we thought. The bond isn't just recognizing you, it's rewriting you. Into what? Into what you were before. The floor felt unsteady. I sat down hard on the edge of the bed. This is insane. Yes, Jaewon agreed, but it's also happening, so we adapt. We? I looked up at him. There's no we. I didn't sign up for this. You didn't have to. He pushed off the doorframe and walked closer. The bond signed you up the moment you walked into that ballroom. I was asleep. Doesn't matter. He crouched in front of me, meeting my eyes. Bonds don't care about consent. They care about destiny. Destiny's a terrible HR department. He smiled faintly. Yeah, it really is. Hanul moved to the window, staring out at the city. If the council finds out he's manifesting powers, they'll take him. They'll try, Doan corrected. They'll succeed. Hanul's reflection in the glass was cold. Unless we bind him first. I stood up. Bind me? Like, with ropes? Because I'm starting to think you guys are into some weird stuff. Jaewon laughed. Not that kind of binding. Then what? A blood oath, Doan said. It's old magic. Forbidden, technically. But it would tie you to us, protect you from outside claims, and trap me, with you. Yes. At least he was honest. I looked between the three of them. Hanul, cold and calculating. Jaewon, sharp and dangerous. Dawon, steady and unbearably sad. What happens if I say no? I asked. Silence. Then Hanul spoke. The council will use you, extract every memory you have, every secret, every weakness. And when you're empty, they'll kill you. Comforting. It's the truth. I laughed bitterly. So my options are, bond with you three or die horribly. Great choices. Really feeling the freedom here. We're not asking you to love us, Doan said quietly. We're asking you to survive. Something in his tone made my chest ache. I hated it. Fine, I said. What do I have to do? Jaewon's grin was sharp. Bleed. Of course. Hanul moved to a small table near the wall and pulled out a silver knife. The blade gleamed in the moonlight, etched with symbols I didn't recognize. This will hurt, he warned. Everything about tonight hurts. He almost smiled, almost. The three of them formed a loose circle around me. Hanul held out the knife. Your palm, he said. I extended my hand, trying not to think about how insane this was, how completely, utterly unhinged. The blade kissed my skin, sharp, clean. Blood welled up immediately, dark and warm. Hanul took my hand, pressing his palm against mine. His blood mixed with mine, hot and slick. "By blood, I bind you," he said. His voice was low, formal, ancient. Then Doan. His hand was warmer, steadier. "By blood, I protect you." And J1. His grip was firm, almost possessive. "By blood, I claim you." The moment all three of them touched me, the world shattered. Light exploded behind my eyes. Not white this time. Red, gold, silver. Colors that didn't exist bleeding together, and then I was drowning in memories. A battlefield. Steel clashing, screams. Three figures fighting back to back. Blood, soaking the ground. A younger Suman, laughing, weaving flowers into Doan's hair. Hanul's voice raw and broken. "Don't leave us." J1 holding Suman's body, silent tears cutting through the grime on his face. And then a promise, whispered in the dark, sealed in blood. "If the goddess takes me, I'll find my way back." The visions cut off abruptly, and I collapsed forward. Hands caught me, multiple hands, holding me upright. "Breathe," Doan murmured. "Just breathe." I gasped, lungs burning. My palm throbbed where the cut was already sealing itself, impossibly fast. "What the hell was that?" I choked out. "The bond," Hanul said. He looked pale, shaken. "It accepted you." Jaywin's hands were still on my shoulders. "Welcome to the family, Jiho." I wanted to snap at him, to push them all away, but my body felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. "I saw it," I whispered. "The promise. Suman promised he'd come back." Doan's grip tightened. "We know." "Then why?" I looked up at him. "Why didn't you believe it?" His expression cracked, just for a second. "Because hope is more dangerous than grief." Before I could respond, the air in the room shifted, grew heavier, colder. The oracle's voice drifted through the walls like smoke. "The bond is sealed, but the price is not yet paid." All three of them stiffened. "What does that mean?" I asked. No one answered, but I saw it in their eyes. Fear, and something worse. Guilt. "What price?" I demanded. My voice came out sharper than I intended, but I was past caring. "What aren't you telling me?" The oracle's presence lingered like frost on glass, but she didn't appear. Her voice simply faded, leaving the four of us in suffocating silence. "Answer me," I pressed. Hanul turned away. Jaywin's jaw clenched. Dowan looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. "Oh, this is great," I said, pulling myself to my feet. My legs wobbled, but I locked my knees. "We just did a blood oath, and you're already keeping secrets. Real solid foundation for whatever nightmare arrangement this is." "It's complicated," Jaywin said. "Then uncomplicated. We can't." "Try harder." Hanul spun around, and the force of his glare could have leveled buildings. "The bond comes with consequences, ones we don't fully understand yet." "That's not an answer. That's a cop-out." "It's the truth." "Then tell me the whole truth." I stepped forward, ignoring the way my hands still trembled. "Because right now it feels like I just signed my life away to three people who are hiding something that could kill me." Dowan flinched, and that tiny, almost invisible reaction told me everything. "It's about Suman, isn't it?" I said quietly. "About how he really died." No one spoke. "Tell me." "Jiho," Dowan started, but I cut him off. "No, don't Jiho me. You don't get to use my name like it's a shield. If I'm stuck in this bond, if I'm apparently some reincarnated weapon with memory powers, then I deserve to know what actually happened." Jowan exhaled slowly. "You really want to know?" "Yes." He looked at Hanul. Some silent conversation passed between them. Then Jawan turned back to me, and his expression was colder than I'd ever seen it. "Suman didn't die protecting us," he said. "He died because of us." The words landed like a punch. "What?" "We led him into a trap," Hanul said. His voice was flat, empty. "We knew the northern packs were planning an ambush. We knew the location was compromised, and we went anyway." My throat tightened. "Why?" "Because we were arrogant," Dowan said quietly. "We thought we were invincible, that nothing could touch us." He looked at me, and the pain in his eyes was raw. Soman begged us not to go. He had a bad feeling, but we didn't listen. We told him to stay behind, Jaewon added. Ordered him, actually, but he followed us anyway. And when the ambush happened, Hanol continued, he used his power, pulled the memories of every soldier there, saw their strategies, their plans, and he broadcast it to us telepathically so we could fight back. But it burned him out, I whispered. Dowan nodded. Memory extraction is dangerous. The more you pull, the more it drains you. And Suman pulled too much, too fast. By the time we realized what he was doing, it was too late. The room felt smaller, colder. He collapsed, Jaewon said. We tried to get him out, but the enemy was closing in. We had to choose, save him or save the territory. I stared at them. You chose the territory. We chose survival, Hanol corrected. And by the time we came back for him, he didn't finish. He didn't have to. I felt sick, not just from the story, but from the weight of it, the guilt, the grief. It was all tangled up in the bond now, bleeding into me like poison. So you've been living with that for 10 years, I said. Every day, Doan murmured. And now I'm here, looking like him, smelling like him, pulling memories like him. I laughed bitterly. No wonder you're all so messed up. We're not using you, Jaewon said sharply. Aren't you? I shot back. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you three saw a chance to rewrite history, to fix your mistake. That's not what this is, Hanul said. Then what is it? Fate, Doan said quietly, whether we like it or not. I wanted to argue, to scream, to tell them all to go to hell, but the bond hummed under my skin, warm and insistent, and I hated how right it felt, how connected I already was to them. There's more, isn't there? I said. Something you're still not telling me. Jaewon and Hanul exchanged another look. Tell him, Doan said. Not yet, Hanul replied. He deserves to know. He deserves to survive the next 3 days first. What happens in 3 days? I demanded. Silence. Then the door burst open. A guard stumbled in, pale and breathless. My lords, the northern packs. They're here. Hanul's expression went deadly. How many? All of them. The room went silent. They know, Jaewon said quietly. They know he's back. That's impossible, Hanul said. The bond was just sealed. There's no way. Unless someone told them, Doan finished. All three of them turned to look at me. Wait, I said, holding up my hands. You think I... No, Doan said quickly. But someone in this palace did. Hanul's jaw clenched. Council leader Shin. He wouldn't, Jaewon said. But he didn't sound convinced. Another guard appeared in the doorway. My lords, they're demanding an audience. They say they have a rightful claim. To what? I asked. The guard's eyes flicked to me. To you. My blood ran cold. They're saying, the guard continued, voice shaking, that Suman's death was never resolved, that the northern packs are owed blood debt. And since you're his reincarnation, he swallowed hard. They're here to collect. The floor dropped out from under me. Hanul moved first. Lock down the estate, no one in or out. And him? The guard asked, gesturing to me. He stays with us. Jaewon pulled a blade from somewhere I couldn't see. If they want him, they'll have to go through us first. Dowan stepped closer to me, his presence solid and grounding. No one touches you, understand? I nodded because I couldn't form words. Outside, the sound of boots echoed through the halls. Dozens, maybe hundreds. The Aida northern packs were coming, and they wanted me dead. Things just got real. If you're not subscribed yet, what are you even doing? Hit that button because Jiho's about to unlock a power that changes everything. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. The boots grew louder, closer, a rhythm that matched my heartbeat, except mine was trying to escape through my ribs. How many? Hanul asked, voice like steel. The guard's face was ashen. At least 50, armed, led by General Kang. Jaewon swore. Kang doesn't negotiate. Then we don't either, Hanul said. Wait. I stepped forward, even though every instinct screamed at me to hide. What do they actually want? Just to kill me? Or is there something else? Blood debt, Doan said. In Northern Pack law, if someone dies protecting you, Their family can claim compensation, usually gold, territory, sometimes a life. But Suman wasn't Northern. No, but he killed 17 of their soldiers before he died. Doan's voice was quiet. They've been waiting 10 years to settle that score. So this is revenge. It's law, Hanel corrected, which makes it worse. They have grounds to challenge us. The footsteps stopped. Silence pressed in, thick and suffocating. Then a voice boomed through the hallway, deep and commanding. Open the door, princes, or we'll open it for you. Jaewon moved to the door, blade ready. That's Kang. Let me talk to him, I said. All three of them looked at me like I'd suggested juggling knives. Absolutely not, Hanel said. Why? I'm the one he wants. And you're the one we just bonded. Doan's hand caught my wrist. We're not letting you walk into an execution. I'm not walking into anything. I'm talking. There's a difference. Not to them, Jaewon said. The voice came again, louder. We know he's in there. The Omega, the one who wears Suman's face. My stomach twisted. Send him out and we'll leave peacefully. Peacefully, I muttered. Right, because nothing says peace like 50 armed soldiers. They won't leave, Hanul said. Not without blood. Then give them mine. Jiho, I'm serious. I pulled my wrist free from Doan's grip. If they want a blood debt, fine. Let me pay it. You don't know what you're saying, Jaewon said. I know exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm tired of other people dying because of me. Even if that me was someone else in another life. Hanul's eyes narrowed. You're not Suman. Then they have no claim, I shot back. So let me go out there and tell them that. They'll kill you the moment you step through that door. Maybe, or maybe they'll listen. They won't. You don't know that. I do. Hanul's voice dropped, dangerous and low. Because I was there when they swore the oath. Kang watched his brother die in that battle, and he blamed Suman for it. The air left my lungs. So no, Hanul continued, you're not going out there. Not now, not ever. The door shuddered. Once, twice. They were testing it. We need a plan, Doan said. We need a miracle, Jaewon corrected. And that's when I felt it. The pull. Not like before. Not gentle. This was sharp, insistent, dragging at something deep inside my chest. The bond flared hot under my skin, and suddenly I could feel them. All three of them. Their fear, their determination, their grief, and underneath it all, something else. Memories. Not theirs. Mine. No. Suman's. I gasped, clutching my head as images flooded in. Standing in a field. 17 soldiers closing in. Fear so sharp it tasted like copper. Reaching out. Touching the first soldier's mind. Pulling. Ripping. Taking everything. Power. Surging through my veins like wildfire. Burning. Consuming. And then the screams. Jiho! Doan's voice cut through the vision. His hands were on my shoulders, grounding me. Stay with me. Breathe. I blinked, gasping. I saw it. I saw what Suman did. What did he do? Jaewon asked. He didn't just pull their memories. My voice shook. He destroyed them, erased everything, left them empty. The room went silent. That's not possible, Hanel said. It is. I looked up at him, and I saw the realization dawn in his eyes. That's why they're so angry. He didn't just kill their soldiers. He unmade them. Doan's grip tightened. Can you do that? I don't know. Figure it out, Jaewon said, because we're about to need it. The door exploded inward. Splinters flew. Guards poured in, silver armor gleaming in the moonlight, and at the front a man who could only be General Kang. Tall, scarred, eyes like winter stone. He looked directly at me. There you are. Hanul stepped in front of me. You have no right to be here. I have every right. Kang's voice was cold, controlled. Blood debt, witnessed by the goddess herself. He's under our protection, Doan said. Protection won't save him from justice. This isn't justice, Jaewon snarled. This is revenge. Kang smiled. It was the cruelest thing I'd ever seen. Call it what you want. The result is the same. He gestured. 2 soldiers moved forward, and something inside me snapped. Heat flooded my veins. Not painful, powerful. The bond blazed white hot, and suddenly I could feel everything. Every heartbeat in the room, every breath, every thought skimming the surface of their minds. Stop! My voice came out steady, commanding. Not my own. Everyone froze. Kang's eyes narrowed. What? I stepped around Hanol. Doan tried to grab me, but I shook him off. My feet moved on instinct, carrying me forward until I stood face to face with the general. You want blood debt? I asked. Yes. Then take it. I held out my hand. Kang stared at it, then at me. What are you doing? Offering you a choice. My heart hammered, but my voice didn't waver. Take my blood, or take my memories. Jiho, don't. Hanel started. Let him answer, I said. Kang studied me. Your memories? Every single one. Everything Sumin did. Everything I am. I met his eyes. You want justice? Then see the truth for yourself. This is a trick. It's not. Touch me. You'll know. Slowly, cautiously, Kang reached out. His hand closed around mine, and I pulled. Not gently, not carefully. I ripped every memory I had, every fragment of Sumin's life, and shoved it into his mind. The battlefield, the fear, the choice, the power, the pain, all of it. Kang's eyes went wide. His breath hitched, and then he screamed. His soldiers lunged forward, but Hanul was faster. A blade flashed. The room erupted into chaos, but I didn't let go. I couldn't, because in Kang's memories, I saw something. Something that changed everything. Sumin hadn't died protecting the princes. He died protecting Kang's brother, the northern soldier who'd been left behind, the one Sumin had tried to save before the power consumed him. Kang collapsed. I released him, stumbling back. Dowan caught me before I fell. The general lay on the floor, gasping, tears streaming down his face. You saved him, he whispered. You tried to save Minho. I nodded because I couldn't speak. Kang looked up at Hanul, at Jaewon, at Doan. The debt is paid, he said hoarsely. And then he left. His soldiers followed. The room fell silent. I collapsed into Doan's arms, shaking. What did you do? He whispered. I showed him the truth. That's not all you did. No, it wasn't. Because now I knew. Sumin's power wasn't just memory extraction. It was memory rewriting. And I just used it. The weight of what I'd done settled over me like a blanket made of lead. My knees gave out, but Doan's arms tightened, holding me upright. His heartbeat thundered against my back, fast and unsteady. You rewrote his memory, Jaewon said. Not a question, a statement. His voice was carefully neutral, but I heard the edge underneath. I didn't mean to. My throat felt raw. I just wanted him to see the truth. The truth, Hanul repeated slowly. He was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. Or what you wanted him to believe was the truth, I flinched. It was the truth. I saw it. Sumin tried to save his brother. And Kang believed you because you made him believe you. That's not... I trailed off, because he was right. I'd felt it in that moment. The power to shape, to mold, to rewrite. What someone remembered until it became their reality. Oh, God. I pressed my hand over my mouth. I could have made him think anything. Yes, Hanul said. You could have. But I didn't. I showed him what actually happened. This time, the implication hung between us. Dowan's grip loosened slightly, not letting go, but creating space. Are you afraid of me now? I asked quietly. No. His answer came fast. Too fast. But I'm afraid of what you could become. That makes two of us. Jaewon crossed the room and crouched in front of me. His eyes were sharp, calculating. Can you control it? I don't know. I've never... I gestured helplessly. I didn't even know I could do that until 30 seconds ago. Then we need to figure it out. Fast. He glanced at Hanul. Because if Shin finds out what he just did, he'll have him executed before dawn. Shin already knows, a voice said from the doorway. We all turned. The oracle stood there, white robes glowing faintly in the dim light. Her expression was unreadable, but something in her eyes made my stomach drop. How much did you see? Hanul asked. Enough. She stepped into the room, and the temperature dropped. The boy has awakened the second gift. Second, I repeated. Memory extraction was the first. Memory manipulation is the second. Her gaze fixed on me. And there is a third. Of course there is, I muttered. Why wouldn't there be? What's the third? Doan asked. The oracle was silent for a long moment. Then, memory erasure, complete and absolute. The words settled like stones in deep water. Soman could erase people? Jaewon's voice was tight. Permanently? If he chose to, but the cost was steep. The oracle moved closer to me. Every memory erased takes a piece of the user's soul. Do it too many times and there is nothing left but an empty shell. I felt sick. Is that what happened to him? Did he erase himself? No, but he came close. Hanel stepped forward. Why are you telling us this now? Because the goddess is watching. The oracle's eyes never left mine. And she is not pleased. With what? I demanded. I didn't ask for any of this. No, but you accepted the bond. And with it, the responsibility. What responsibility? To choose. The word echoed in the sudden silence. Choose what? Doan asked. The oracle finally looked away from me. The bond between Suman and the three princes was never meant to be broken. When he died, the goddess held the threads, waiting. But threads fray, and when this boy was born, she wove them again. So I'm just a cosmic dover, I said. Great. Love being a divine retry button. You are more than that. The oracle's tone softened slightly. You are the choice Suman never got. To make. What choice? To save one, or save all. My blood went cold. Explain. The oracle gestured to the three princes. The bond connects you to all three, but it is unstable, incomplete. The goddess will not allow it to remain this way. Why not? Jaewon asked. Because balance demands sacrifice. One bond must be severed, or all four souls will burn. The room spun. I grabbed onto Doan's arm to steady myself. You're saying I have to choose one of them? Or choose none, and let the bond consume you all? That's not a choice, I said. My voice cracked. That's a death sentence with options. Yes, the oracle agreed. It is. Hanul's face had gone carefully blank. The kind of blank that meant he was 3 seconds from either imploding or exploding. How long do we have? The full moon rises in 2 nights. The choice must be made before then. And if he doesn't choose, Doan's voice was barely a whisper, then the bond will choose for him, and it will take the weakest thread first. Jaewon laughed. It was bitter and sharp. So one of us dies no matter what. Not dies, the oracle corrected. Severs. The unchosen will forget. The bond, the love, the pain. All of it will be erased. That's worse than death, Doan said. Perhaps, but it is the goddess's price. I pulled away from Doan and stood on shaking legs. And what if I refuse? What if I break the bond entirely? The oracle's expression turned sad. Then you all die, body and soul. Perfect, just perfect. I dragged my hands through my hair. So my options are, pick one and break 2 hearts, or pick none and kill everyone? Is that about right? Yes. Fantastic. Really feeling the divine love here. Hanul moved to the window. His shoulders were rigid. Leave us. The oracle bowed her head. As you wish. She turned to go, then paused. For what it is worth, the goddess does not do this out of cruelty. She does it out of mercy. Mercy, I repeated flatly. Some bonds are too heavy to carry. She offers you the chance to set one down before it crushes you all. And then she was gone. The silence that followed was suffocating. Well, Jaewon finally said, this is fun. Shut up, Hanul said. I'm just saying, if we're all going to die or get our memories erased, we might as well enjoy the next 2 days. Jaewon, what? You want me to pretend this isn't happening? That we're not completely screwed? I want you to think before you speak. Why start now? Both of you, stop. Doan's voice cut through the building argument. He looked at me. What do you want to do? I stared at him, at all 3 of them. I don't know. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. My hands were shaking again. You're asking me to choose between three people I barely know. Three people who apparently meant everything to someone I used to be. How am I supposed to make that choice? You'll figure it out, Doan said. And if I don't? No one answered, because there was no good answer. I walked to the window and pressed my forehead against the cool glass. Outside, Seoul glittered like scattered stars. Somewhere down there, people were living normal lives, going to work, meeting friends, not deciding who gets to keep their soul. I need air, I said. You can't leave, Hanol said. Then open a window, because I'm about 3 seconds from completely losing it. Dowan moved to the balcony doors and pushed them open. Cold air rushed in, sharp and clean. I stepped out onto the balcony. The wind cut through my clothes, but I didn't care. I gripped the railing and stared out at the city. Behind me, I heard them talking. Low, urgent, arguing about plans and options, and things I couldn't process. And then Jaewon's voice, quiet and resigned. Maybe it should be me. I turned. He was leaning against the doorframe, watching me. The weakest thread. That's me, right? I'm the one who messed up the most. Who failed him? Don't, Doan said. It's true. It's not. Then tell me who else it should be. Silence. I looked between them. At the guilt, the grief, the love that was tearing them apart. And I realized something. Suman's choice had never been about saving himself. It had been about saving them, just like mine would be. 2 days, I said. You said I have 2 days. Hanol nodded. Then let's make them count. The words hung in the cold air, and for a moment, none of them moved. Then Jaewon pushed off the doorframe, something shifting in his expression. Not quite hope, but close. What are you thinking? He asked. I turned fully to face them, gripping the railing. Behind me. I'm thinking the goddess gave me a choice, but she never said I had to play by her rules. Hanol's eyes narrowed. Explain. Memory manipulation, memory erasure, memory extraction. I ticked them off on my fingers. Those are my gifts, right? Powers Suman had. Powers I apparently have now. Yes, Doan said carefully. But what does that have to do with everything? I stepped back into the room. The oracle said the bond is unstable because it connects me to all three of you. That the threads are fraying. That one has to be severed or we all burn. That's what she said, Hanol confirmed. But what if the problem isn't the number of threads? I looked between them. What if it's the weight? Jaewon frowned. I don't follow. So Omen carried all your grief, all your guilt, all your pain from his death. For 10 years, those emotions have been tangled up in this bond, right? That's why it's so heavy. That's why it's breaking. Doan's breath caught. You want to erase the pain? Not erase, rewrite. I held up my hand before any of them could protest. Not the memories, not the love, just the guilt, the parts that are crushing you, crushing us. That's not possible, Hanol said, but his voice wavered. How do you know? Has anyone ever tried? Silence. The oracle said some bonds are too heavy to carry, I continued. So what if we make it lighter? What if I take the weight you've been carrying and just let it go? And if it doesn't work, Jaewon asked, if you burn yourself out trying? I met his eyes. Then at least I tried. At least I didn't just pick one of you to suffer. Jiho. Doan moved closer. This is dangerous. Memory manipulation on that scale. On 3 people simultaneously. Through a bond that's already unstable. He shook his head. It could kill you. Or it could save us. You don't know that. No, but I know I'm not choosing. My voice came out stronger than I felt. I'm not Suman. I don't have his memories, his experiences, his reasons for loving you. But I'm starting to have my own. And those reasons, they include all 3 of you. Hanol's jaw worked. This is reckless. Yeah, it is. I smiled slightly. But I'm an exhausted barista who accidentally crashed a royal ball and woke up with magic powers and 3 gorgeous princes. Reckless is kind of on brand at this point. Jaewon laughed. Actually laughed. He has a point. He has a death wish, Hanol corrected. But something in his expression had softened. I held out my hands. Will you let me try? They looked at each other. Another one of those silent conversations I still couldn't read. Then Doan stepped forward first. If you die, I'm never forgiving you. Noted, Jaewon came next. If this works, you're buying the first round of drinks. With what money? You literally kidnapped me. Details. Hanul was last. He studied me for a long moment, and I saw it all in his eyes. The fear, the hope, the desperate, fragile wish that maybe, just maybe, this could work. Don't hold back, he said quietly. Take all of it. I nodded. They formed a circle around me, each taking one of my hands. Hanul and Doan on either side, J1 in front of me, his free hand resting against my chest, over my heart. Together, I said. On three. One, Doan murmured. Two, J1 added. Three, Hanul finished. And I pulled. Not memories, not images, just the weight, the guilt, the grief, the 10 years of what-ifs and should-haves and if-onlys that had been crushing them. It flooded into me like a tidal wave. I gasped, knees buckling, but their hands tightened, holding me upright. The bond blazed white-hot, searing through my veins like lightning, and for a moment I thought it would rip me apart. But then I felt them. Not just their pain, their love, their hope, their desperate, aching need to protect each other, to protect me. And I understood. The bond wasn't breaking because it was too heavy. It was breaking because they'd been trying to carry it alone. So I stopped pulling and started sharing. I pushed back, not erasing, not rewriting, just redistributing, taking the weight and spreading it across all four of us until no single thread had to bear it alone. The light flared once, twice, and then softened into something warm, something right. When I opened my eyes, all three of them were staring at me. Did it work? I whispered. Doan's hand came up to cut my face. I don't know. I still remember everything. But it doesn't... He paused. It doesn't hurt anymore. Same, Jaywin said softly. It's like remembering a scar instead of an open wound. Hanul's thumb brushed across my knuckles. The bond feels different. Stable. Stable good or stable bad? Good, he smiled, actually smiled. Very good. Relief hit me so hard I almost collapsed, but they caught me, all three of them, holding me up, holding each other. So, Jaywon said after a moment, do we tell the Oracle you just broke a divine mandate? Let's not, I said. I'd like to survive the week. Fair. We stood there in the quiet, tangled together, breathing in sync. Outside, the city lights glittered. Inside, for the first time since I'd woken up, everything felt still. What happens now? Doan asked. I looked up at them, at Hanul's steady strength, at Jaywon's sharp edges softening, at Doan's quiet certainty. Now, I said, now we figure out how to make this work. All four of us, together. Together, Hanul echoed. Together, Jaywon agreed. Always, Doan finished. And as the first light of dawn broke, over soul the bond hummed between us. Not perfect, not easy, but whole. For the first time in 10 years, we were whole. If you made it this far, you're the real MVP. Hit that subscribe button because trust me, we've got more epic stories coming your way. Drop a comment telling me which Alpha King was your favorite. And thank you so much for watching till the end. You're incredible. See you in the next one.